What is up, everybody? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Shout out to you. If you're watching this after the fact or if you're watching live, what is up? I hope you're having the best day ever. I'm pretty fired up. I'm at work again. Like I said, I work till 8 every Thursday. So I'm trying to, be more effective with my time. And I'm doing my podcasts, while I'm at work. So that way, by the time I get home, I'm all done and I can work on some other stuff. Um, so today is very special. So this is episode 100 of What Did Adam Say? Episode 100. Wah, 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 wah. It's celebration worthy, okay? I've been podcasting for about 5 years. We'll talk about my podcasting journey so far. Realistically, it's been longer than that, way longer than that, but consistently podcasting for the past 5 years. We'll get into my history with radio. We'll get into my history with some other stuff. And then give you guys some tips and pointers if you want to start your own podcast. Talk about how I started my own podcast. And yeah, let's do the damn thing. Let's play the theme song. This is so much harder for my phone, but it is what it is. Let's freaking go. Make sure you guys share if you're watching this, subscribe, like the page, and let's go.
Wait, what am I doing? Created a movement, won't ruin what you are pursuing. But I wake up every morning, never yawning, cause I wake up with the intent to make the day my bitch. And I don't need it, you talking, so just shut your lips. Cause I'ma make it, yeah, I'ma make it, I'ma make it, I'ma make it. Lord have mercy, I'ma make it. I wake up with the intent to make the day my bitch. And I don't need it, you talking, so just shut your lips. I'ma make it, yeah, I'ma make it, I'ma make it, I'ma make it. Lord have mercy, I'ma make it up. This shit is crazy, right? This shit is crazy.
This shit is crazy, right? 5 years of podcasting, right? 5 freaking years. It's been an amazing 5 years. 2017 was the first time that I ever did a What Did Adam Say podcast. It was honestly one of the turning points in my whole entire life. When I came up with the What Did Adam Say branding, it was accidentally one of the best things I've ever done. I've always been ATAC, right? A lot of people knew me from music. A lot of people didn't even know my real name. They would call me ATAC or TAC or A. Like they never even knew I was Adam. So I was just driving one day and I was listening to Gary Vee, and the thought popped into my head of, wait a second, Adam, you piss a lot of people off. You also make people think. You also say some weird stuff sometimes. So, what did Adam say? It started as me kind of like trying to summarize, like, okay, how do people feel about me? And usually it's, what did Adam say? But I made it so there's no period, exclamation, question mark at the end of what did Adam say, because I wanted it to be universal. So you could be like questioning, what did Adam say? You could be yelling at me, what did Adam say? It just works out. It's also one of the best things ever for when I'm out. Like I say, follow me on Instagram. My @ is what did Adam say? And it's the same thing everywhere. So people, follow me even without a business card to give out or anything like that, because I hate business cards. But we are here, guys. The funny thing is, these past 5 years of being consistent were all created by my past of music, right? So I started making music in 2003. Yes, you're not hearing me incorrectly. 2003. Next year, we'll make 20 years of making music. 20 years. About 10 years into making music, I had a really heavy buzz going locally. I was doing a ton of shows, opening up for Cassidy, Waka Flocka, Afro Man, Hobson, Dizzy Wright, Jaron Benton, Snow the Product, you name it. I've opened for these underground artists and shit. Um, in 2013, I also met a homie named Ryan, and him and I started a Hotbox radio show. Wildly successful while it was on air. It was too wild for the radio, though, right? Our whole premise of our show was a 2-hour show The first hour we would spend educating about cannabis, different cannabis laws across the country, Massachusetts. What's up, Kev Daddy? All these different things. And the second hour, however, was us just smoking a bunch of dabs and joints and interviewing different hip hop artists. So not only were we smoking weed and coughing on live on air and all that shit, but we had artists that were swearing and all this other crazy stuff. The radio station had a love-hate relationship with us. We only did that for like 3 months maybe, and it was wildly successful in those 3 months. I haven't been able to replicate that the same exact way since, because it was just so wild and unique. But the podcasting offers a lot more value, whereas the other hotbox radio that I did was 100% for entertainment. So that was back in 2013, right? And then I took a hiatus for a long time. My equipment got lost, and I just kind of stopped for a couple of years. 2017 rolls around. I had been listening to Gary Vee for about a year at that point, and he was always screaming to start a podcast, 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 start a podcast. So one day I was in my car and I made a little rant about how life is a garden and you can water certain seeds that you plant more than others in order to grow the outcome that you would like. And from there, it just went. It just became a thing. The first few episodes of What Did Adam Say, I tried to stay on brand with What Did Adam Say, and talked about controversial things. I talked about gun control and why we shouldn't have it. Well, not shouldn't have it, but don't need to make stricter laws and take guns away, and talked about gun statistics and whatnot. And I talked another one about demonization of cannabis. I talked another one about I can't remember all that. I tried to be controversial in the beginning. That was like my shtick. And then in 2017, I partnered up with my old business partner, and I created a podcast with him called AA for Entrepreneurs. We probably did 50 episodes of that. That was also pretty wildly successful. Some of the videos on Facebook have 10, 15, 20,000 views on them. We didn't even interview anybody famous either. We just met with local people that we really respected and enjoyed who they were as a human being, and felt like they brought value to our audience, which they clearly did if we had that many views. 2017, so that ended in 2019. No, wait. Yeah, AA for Entrepreneurs effectively ended in like 2019. We tried to bring it back when the pandemic hit. It just wasn't the same because me and my business partner were having a falling out at the time. So it wasn't quite as effective, and it just ended. So it kind of left me in limbo, and I started rolling heavy back into What Did Adam Say after taking a 3-year hiatus from it. Since 2020, I have been pretty consistent. Like I probably only released 14 episodes in 2017, and then the other 86 have been in the past 2.5 years or so. Actually 2 years, just about 2 years. So it's been pretty consistent, not as consistent as I want it to be, but you can always be better, and that's what I've been working on. This is episode 100. I want to say I've done like 42 out of the past 45 weeks. I've had a podcast, which is huge, right? You need consistency for a podcast. That's probably the biggest thing. And I'm still not consistent enough. I still haven't figured out what I'm going to do with this. Like, I like kind of talking by myself and venting about different things, but I also like having guests on. Do I need a structure? These are all things I'm still trying to figure out 5 years into my podcasting journey. But let me tell you, even though I have recording equipment, I didn't even use it for my podcasting for quite a few episodes, honestly. I use my phone. Everybody makes these excuses like they don't have the right tools to do a podcast. Do you want to know how my first podcast was for What Did Adam Say? It was my phone in a car, and I was just recording myself. Want to know my second one was? I was in my grow room with my phone, and I just recorded myself. No video, just audio at that point. AA for Entrepreneurs, before it was a video setup. We started in my spare room, which was my kids' room. well, like my kid's playroom, and there was a Paw Patrol table in that room, a padded Paw Patrol table, and I literally set up the phone on there and just recorded the whole podcast from my phone. Now, the first time I did it, I used this app called Anchor, and I was talking with my hands, and I must have reached over the sensor in my phone, and I guess that shut off the recording. So we went for like an hour and a half talking, and none of it really got recorded. We did it a second time. Wouldn't you know, the same freaking thing happened. Did it a third time, and finally we got a successful recording after recording for 3 hours prior to that, essentially. It was kind of frustrating, but it was perseverance, and it taught us, a valuable lesson not to do that next week. So the next episode comes, and we, just business as usual. We're using our phone, and then I was like, wait a second, maybe I could use some of my recording equipment that Casher gave me, and I started using the microphones. And I remember in the beginning, I was like, we need all the fucking angles for podcasting. So there was one episode of AA for Entrepreneurs where we had 4 cameras on us. We had one solo for each of us. We had one full panorama, and then one from the side of us. I don't know why I went so overkill with cameras. It looked really weird because it was literally 4 different cameras. But these are the lessons that you have to learn and the things that you have to go through to have a successful podcast. I don't think my podcast is anywhere near even the beginning of success. But Gary Vee always says, you can talk to nobody as long as you're talking and creating content. That's all that matters, right? I have 200 episodes of content to pick through eventually. I would really love to pay somebody to go through the episodes, listen to them, and timestamp them, so that way I could clip them up and have a shitload of content. That's coming in the future. That is the biggest benefit of having a podcast, is just that benefit of having content. Because one of the hardest things for me to stay consistent with, and don't mind me, I'm just about to close my store. One of the hardest things that I have to stay consistent with is just creating unique content, but not only unique, but that has a value to other people. I don't want to just talk to talk. I don't want to hear myself talk. That's not why I do this podcasting thing. I want to create value, right? I want to inspire people. My whole mission since like 2016 has been aspire to inspire. And I really feel as if I'm starting to get there. There's a lot of people in my life that have been inspired by the things that I'm doing now. And it's really humbling, honestly. It's like one of the most humbling things in the world. I am just a regular dude, right? Like, I grew up with no money. My dad was super poor. My mom, we didn't, I didn't have my mom when I was growing up until I was like 11, basically. And it just, I don't know. I always had this habit of wanting to help people. And as soon as I started achieving a little bit of success, I really doubled down on trying to help people. And it became like my whole mission, right? I think that if, if it wasn't for my hard past, I couldn't be going where I'm going today with this podcasting thing. And again, it's all about consistency. It's all about not making excuses. And it's all about growing it and then creating micro clips of it. I haven't done the best job of that, but I will be better. I promise you that. So a lot of people have asked me, like, how do I start a podcast? And I kind of wanted to touch on that during this show. The first step is just download an app to record audio. You don't need to start with video. If you're starting a podcast, my advice to you would be to start small and build up from there. So there's a great app called Anchor, like an anchor for a boat. And Anchor allows you to not only record your audio onto their app, edit the audio on their app, but it also allows you to distribute it to all of the major podcast distributors: Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts. Every single podcasting network, it will blast it out to there for you, and that's invaluable. Like, you literally can't put a value on that app. Hey, and guess what? It's free. It's completely and utterly free, and I think that it's probably the best app I've ever found for podcasting, and I highly, highly, highly recommend it to everybody to try Anchor. If you want to do a podcast, download that. The second part, I would say, once you have that downloaded, is just not to overthink. Too many times people overthink their podcast, and then they just decide not to do it because of the fact that they overthought it. And hold on. Almost couldn't swallow there. That's what she said. So, fuck, I lost my train of thought. I need like an assistant that just tells me when I have a stoner moment and need to catch my train of thought again. Fuck. Oh, Anchor. So yeah, you want to download Anchor, and it's free, completely and utterly free. You can download your audio on there. It's the best app, guys. Check it out. Second part, don't overthink it. Be yourself. I see too many people that have podcasts trying to like play a role, right? Like almost like they're in a TV show. And that's really not what you want to do. If you guys have ever noticed and ever watched an episode of What Did Adam Say, you'll notice that I'm just unapologetically me. There is no faking the funk, guys. I couldn't fake the funk if I tried. It's just not in my nature to be a fake person. Now, maybe that doesn't come as easily to you, which is okay. I'm not calling you fake or nothing. It's just hard to be genuine when the camera's on you. Like looking at this goofy ass face right here. Look at this thing, and having to see that for 200 episodes now. Every episode's at least an hour. Some have been 3-4, so call it like an hour and a half, 2-hour average. I've seen this ugly mug for 400 hours over the past 5 years, essentially. So it's been rough looking at me, but just know that I just stay unapologetically myself. People seem to like it, and that's, well, for the most part, what did Adam say? There's those people that exist for sheezy, and it's okay. Everybody's allowed to have their own opinion. That's the other part about podcasting. Do not be offended if nobody watches it. Do not be offended if somebody's offended by your shit. Do not take anything personal. It's very important that you kind of like separate yourself from the podcast and make sure that you're not taking anything personal. Like, some days I get a couple hundred views on my podcast. Some days I get a couple views on my podcast. So I've learned to just live and die in both moments, right? Like, I don't celebrate the wins too much. I don't dwell on the losses too much. Do I reflect on them and make sure that if I can avoid the same kind of loss again, it won't happen? Of course. But I'm also getting better and working on not judging myself so much, because judging yourself could be your biggest downfall as a human being. And I feel like that's the biggest reason why people don't do podcasts. Even now, episode 100, I'm on my phone right now. Like I said, I'm at work and I got a lot of stuff to do / want to hang out with my fiance before she goes to bed. So I'm doing my podcast while I'm at work, being resourceful, leaving work now, and now I'm about to do it on the road. And that's really all it takes. If you really want to have a podcast and you want to be successful, you can. I fully believe you can. If I could come from nothing to make it 6 figures and I'm barely getting started, then you could do it too. And if you're in my position where, 2014, I think I made $20,000. Just to put it into context. Put it into context. I don't know why that word was such a struggle for me just now. Just to put that into context. And now, 2022, I'm making 6 figures this year. More than likely. So how did I get there? She was on. How did I get there? Right? It's just perseverance, the same way that my podcast is just 100% perseverance, right? So, steps to creating a podcast: download Anchor. Don't judge yourself too much. Be yourself. Don't be scared of being in front of the camera. Everybody looks goofy to themselves on camera, especially the first few times that you really do it. So, don't be too hard on yourself. You're probably beautiful and good looking. Don't worry. Don't worry. A lot of people are just way too hard on themselves. The other part, and this has helped me, sometimes I use it as a crutch. Having great guests makes an easy podcast. If you know how to talk to people, it really, like, it's almost like a cheat code. Like, this is why Joe Rogan has guests every single week, because his guests are what makes the show. Like, yes, does Joe Rogan bring up amazing points and he's a great conversator, but without his guests, what would his show be? Like, how many people are just going to listen to Joe Rogan speak? Probably not nearly as many as will listen to him speak with a guest. So that's always been kind of my thing. This whole live streaming thing where I can't be with my guest in person is the biggest reason why I'm doing solo shows. As much as I love technology and appreciate technology because I'm able to talk to somebody from a different country, the other side of the United States, I could talk to anybody at any point and then live stream it to anybody at any point. That is always cool. But um I want to feel the energy. Like when I was doing in-person shows with guests and I could be around their energy, it was the best. That was the absolute best because now you're feeding off each other. Like, yeah, can you sort of kind of feel energy over online? Yeah, you can. But in person, you can't lie to me about your energy. I will read that shit. I'll read it like a book, and I'm not good at reading books, but I can read energy. Best damn straight. Uh, so those are like the 4 or 5 steps to just start a podcast. To recap, download Anchor. Don't judge yourself. Uh, don't worry about how you look on camera when you eventually do camera. Don't dwell on how your voice sounds. These are all like, don't be insecure. I guess that's like the biggest point I want to make. Insecurity is not going to make a successful podcast. I never thought that I could do hour-long shows with just myself, no other guests, and talk about stuff that could possibly bring value to people. Yet here I am doing it, you know? Last week I talked all about my hemp farm, and this week I'm talking all about podcasting. Next week, maybe I'll have a guest. Who knows? We never know. So, um, yeah, those are the steps to start a podcast. The best thing about a podcast is building your personal brand. Uh, the second best thing is helping people with your content, honestly. If you can have that attitude of like not caring about your plays, I'll check my plays like once. I just want to see what I had for a live stream. And then after that, I won't check it again. I literally will never check it again. Why? I don't need to. I don't need to. What else can I do to get plays? You know, like besides be fake. So, and I'm not gonna be fake. So why dwell on it? Why worry about it? You know, like it's whatever happens is gonna happen, and I trust the universe to let it happen at the right time. Like, yeah, maybe someday Gary Vee will be a guest on my show. That's a goal, you know. And do I know that having Gary Vee on the show, as long as I have a good conversation, is gonna blow the show the fuck through the roof? Absolutely. That's all it takes. This is what I mean about consistency, persistency. Is like if you podcast for 5 years and then finally you get Gary Vee on your podcast. Now, people who have never heard you before have 5 years of podcast to listen to and find out who you are and potentially become a fan of your brand, you as a human being. And then all of a sudden you have new supporters for your business. You have more people that you're helping. You have more of an impact on society, which is exactly what I am looking to do with all this. I cannot and will not ever, 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 ever settle for mediocrity. Just not in my bones. I always want to be the greatest. I'm way overly competitive. I'm way like the only time I really judge myself is initially when I lose. And I'm like picking apart every little thing I'm doing to make sure that that loss doesn't happen that same exact way the next time. Same way with podcasts. When you learn a lesson from podcasts about, like I was saying in the beginning, I recorded with my phone and I hovered over my phone and it shut off my recording twice. Now, had I not done that, maybe it could have been a bigger podcast that Gary Vee was on and I fuck it up, right? Don't want that to happen. Or for instance, the universe always got my back, right? I bought lavalier mics, way too much money on them. Spent way too much money on them. The first time we used it, we didn't know what the hell we were doing. The batteries died super quick, and my plan was to interview Gary Vee. Like with those, that's why we bought those lav mics because we were in New York. I had just got the V Friends tattoo, and we thought we knew what we were doing, but we watched back the footage and there was no audio on any of the footage. So we forgot to turn it on one side or the other, or the battery died and we just didn't check it because we assumed it was good. Um, and then another time, the lab mic, we dropped it by accident, and one of the lab mics stopped working. We lost a bunch of audio on a bunch of content again. And now I don't use lab mics, at least those ones, until I can find one that's like reliable to be able to use. Because for me, in my experience, lab mics didn't work out. Those are valuable lessons. I would rather, oh, excuse me, I pulled like, it's up to like 3:30 in the morning. I would rather mess up and learn that lesson on a podcast that's just me, or content that's just me and we could live with or without, than to be with Gary Vee and lose out on all the audio. Now I know if I ever were to have a podcast with Gary Vee, I would have two different video sources, one being the main, one being a backup that would probably be less quality. And I would have a backup audio as well, like record with the phone in front of us or something like that. Because any audio is better than no audio. That's what I've learned. There's been a couple of times, like when I podcasted with my old partner on AA for Entrepreneurs, we would like forget to turn the microphones on, or um, we wouldn't turn them loud enough, or there was just all these different things that would always happen that we learned how to have checks and balances to make sure that they did not keep happening. It's really great when you can put your all into a craft like podcasting, and then reach other people. I've had other people that have started podcasts because of me. That's an amazing feeling. When somebody chases a dream and does something that they've wanted to do for a while because of your action, that's what life is all about for me. And I think that too many people get wrapped up in the hype of, you know, trying to be famous from podcasting. That's not what I'm doing. Would I like my show to be bigger and more successful to, maybe be a stream of income eventually and, help more people? Absolutely. But am I gonna be upset and mad because it's been 5 years and my show hasn't blown up? No. No, it could be 15 years from now, 20 years in, and I'll still be doing the same thing because I know that someday, even if I never get a big guest, someday, God forbid, I fucking get in a car accident in 15 years and die. You guys have 20 years of me talking and truly know who I am. It is an amazing thing when you have that kind of history behind you when you're doing podcasts. That's like the thing. It's almost like having your own history book. And that's why I say, and one of my biggest tips is to not fake it. Be genuinely yourself, because if you're faking it, you're going to look back on it in 20 years and cringe. I promise you. You're going to be like, that is not me whatsoever. And I need to make a change. When you could have avoided that by just being with your podcast in the first place. Um, So always, always, always just be yourself in every situation, guys. Like,
even my job that I have, I started working at Mattress Firm in October. I hadn't been working for 4.5 years, and I got hired on. And 4 months later, I was an area manager. 4 months later, that's 4 promotions in 4 months. So all of that was based off of me genuinely being me, right? Like, let me explain to you what that means. The other day, I have a new hire who came from car sales, and I'm trying to coach a lot of her car salesy attitudes out of her, being pushy and things of that nature. And I said we did this thing. We have an app called Podium, and that's where we text our customers back and forth. So they'll text us through there with a question, and we text back and forth. So I was doing like a role play with her as the associate and me pretending to be a customer on Podium, and she did like 3 or 4 things that were very car salesy. We weren't getting to the point that I wanted, so it was like an immediate coaching session on the right way to do it. And then I ended it with, a lot of what you were doing, trying to get people, you're trying to be too pushy, and it sounds really car salesy. She called my boss and told him that I called her a sleazy car salesman, which I didn't. I said it sounds car salesy. My boss, he pulled me aside and he said, "Hey, I just want to talk to you about what happened. I want to get your side of the story." She said that, you called her a sleazy car salesman and she was really offended by that. And da 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 da. I said, and he's like, "You just gotta be careful how you talk to people." I said, "Mark," I said to my boss, listen, I did not say she's a sleazy car salesman. I said she's sounding very car salesy, and maybe that was implied by me saying that because that's kind of what I meant, but I was trying to say it in a nice way. Uh, but I don't I'll try to be better about it. I don't want to offend her. I was actually trying not to offend her by saying you're being car salesy instead of saying you're being too pushy, too sleazy, things of that nature that could really offend somebody. Um, so these are the things I mean. I'm genuinely myself. I swear with customers if I'm feeling comfortable enough with them. I swear with my employees and even my bosses and everything. I cannot fake the funk. And when you look at it, right, I got my promotion to area manager because of that reason. When I asked my boss, why did you choose me over 6 other people who were way more qualified than me? And he said, Adam, you are genuinely you 100% of the time, and I don't think you know how to not be anything else. And that is why I did it. You have your heart in the right place. You want to help people, and you genuinely cannot fake the funk. That's the type of people I want to promote in this company. And I was just like, holy shit, like blown away by the fact that he actually said that. And that's what I try to do with literally everything. I can't fake the funk, guys. There's been nights I have podcasting and I am off, but I'm still doing it. And if I watched it back, which I will eventually, I would see that I'm off, and it's okay. It just shows that I'm human. I'm not a robot. I can't just snap into, hey, welcome to WBB5 Radio FM, and here we go. I'm in a great mood. Some days it's just not like that. Would I like it to be? Absolutely. If I wasn't working a 9 to 5, I could probably guarantee you that I would always be in a good mood podcasting because I always was before that. It hurts my soul to work a 9 to 5, guys. It really freaking does. So, um, but you got to do what you got to do. You got to support the family and shit. Um, so by not faking the funk, I have so many people around me that support me. Some of them maybe get offended by some of what I say. I'm sorry if that's the case. Never, ever, 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 ever do I truly mean to offend somebody. Most of what I say is done so in a way to hopefully make you think, right? My stepdad used to have this saying that he'd tell me when I was making dumb decisions. He would say, Adam, you're supposed to use your brain as something else other than fertilizer for your hair. And basically what it meant is I was being a shithead. And I wasn't living to my full potential. I wasn't using my brain. And because of that, I made stupid decisions. I really took that to heart because most of the time when I make stupid decisions and I catch losses, it's when I'm not genuinely being myself, when I'm not genuinely listening to my intuition, when I'm not genuinely um, uh, doing what I want, right? Like, and And that might sound like I'm like a control freak or something. I kind of am a little bit. But just like it's just I can't fake it, guys. I can't fake my funk. I want to spread that message to everybody. Like, I don't care how awkward and weird and goofy and somewhat offensive I can be. I mean, I do care about the offensive part, but also I don't know how to be anything else but me. So if I offend you by just being me, tell me so I can hopefully fix it. That's basically like what I like. I like for fake the funk. I don't want you to fake the funk. I'm going off on a tangent right now. I got to get back to podcasting. So, all of that to say, those lessons of podcasting, I'm barely fucking getting started. And I'm ready for the next level. I'm brainstorming. I really didn't want to do episode 100 this way, but because I haven't had the time because I'm working 55 hours a week at my full-time job, I haven't had the time is a bad excuse. I haven't had the mindset to be able to sit down and brainstorm ideas that can make my podcast better at this moment. And it's something I need to work on because I really do want to take this to the next level. I'm talking to a couple of different people. And Sal, if you're still watching, I would love to be considered to be our crypto radio network. Um, I can't see the Twitter comments, so if that is the case and you're looking for more people, message me on Twitter. I would love, 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 and be honored to be a part of that. But my brothers from Token with the Dead, Ben and Jeff, also are going to be having a conversation with me about joining their radio network, Hellfire Radio. So I am looking for ways to expand this passively without having to overextend myself. The next part I will do is get guests back on my show. And in order to do this, I need a better system of scheduling so I can send reminders to my guests. There would be too many times where it would be a Monday and I'm on Thursday, and I would mean to message my guests, and then I would get a customer at work, or something would come up, or I'd have to do something managerial at work, and I would forget to do it. And then all of a sudden it's Wednesday night. I'm like, crap, I didn't hit up my guest yet. So I would hit them up and be like, hey, I'm so sorry. I should have hit you up way sooner, but you're up next for tomorrow's show. Are you good? And like 80% of the time it was good, but the other 20% they said no, and it would bum me out because it's all my fault. If I would have just scheduled them and had it so like they get a calendar reminder that reminds them 1 week before, 2 days before, and the day of, I would have not ever lost a guest, or maybe not ever because life happens, right? Like I've had people that ended up in the hospital, or had somebody they knew that they had to take care of, like their kid was sick or something, you know? Those kind of things happen with guests. And I would love to set up like permanent backup guests that are available every single Thursday. I honestly wouldn't mind having some sort of a co-host on my show. Like I kind of miss having a co-host because on the days that I did not want a podcast or I wasn't feeling 100%, up, my podcast partner a lot of the times would lift me up, and or the conversations I'm having with him would distract me from the fact that I'm not in the mood, type of thing. So it's something I'm considering a lot of different methods. I beat you. I'm considering a lot of different methods. See what I mean? I'm just weird. For expanding out this podcast, and I think a part of it is not pigeonholing myself into just doing video. I really, 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 really need to get better about my audio side of things, because that has always been where my biggest audience is. Besides our Facebook videos, we're doing 50 and 20,000 plays for AA for Entrepreneurs. Honestly, I would love to bring back AA for Entrepreneurs. I own that show. It would be really dope to have a co-host on that show and even run like What Did Adam Say in AA for Entrepreneurs. I would love to bring High Talks back with my buddy Matt. I'm just waiting for him to kind of get settled into his life a little bit more, and also me, to be able to schedule that. So I would ideally love to do like 3 podcasts a week. It's just one of those things I really truly enjoy doing 95% of the time. The other 5%, I have the muscle memory to be able to push through it, and maybe it's not noticeable to you guys, but You know, that's the goal, right? I don't want it to be noticeable that I'm having an off day. But I don't care if you notice that I have an off day. It happens. Like, I won't always speak with this dialect or this tone of voice, or I'll be exhausted. I'm pretty fucking tired today, honestly. I was up till 3:30 in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, watching my buddies play a horror movie video game, where you get to like choose your fate, and it was super fucking cool. Like, I was just addicted to it, like hooked in. I'm actually gonna go home and download it because my fiance was like, "Ooh, let's play," because she loves horror movies and she likes video games. You know, like more like Mortal Kombat. I whoop her ass in Mortal Kombat. Don't ever forget that, babe. Uh, but she's like, "Yeah, let's play it tonight," which is it could be tricky because if it's anything like last night and she gets addicted the way that I did and hooked the way I did, she's gonna be screwed. But yeah, I'm looking for passive ways to really expand this podcast, and I think radio is one of those things that can do it. I know radio is kind of like an older technology and things of that nature, but I truly believe that like kind of working the two together and also having just the audio podcasts on Spotify and Apple and all those things, it truly helps to be on every single platform that you can. That is why I live stream on YouTube and Facebook and Twitch and Twitter because I want the biggest reach possible for my show. Because all it takes is one person on one of those platforms to hear it. They really enjoy it and they tweet it out, and all of a sudden I have a whole new fan base and a whole new look on my show, essentially. So, um, I really want to thank everybody that's ever listened to any amount of my podcasting and live streaming, whether it's been 5 minutes or 5 hours or 50 hours. I don't care. I'm just very happy that you've ever watched my show. Even if you've only watched it for 30 seconds and clicked it off, thank you for giving me the chance to make you a part of my life and make you a believer and a supporter. You know, I really truly believe that podcasting has been my unlock to so much in life. And I'm beyond grateful for the fact that not only Gary Vee, told me about it. I mean, I was doing it before Gary Vee. That's why I brought up the fact that I did Hotbox Radio back in 2013. But Gary Vee, what he really taught me is just, how to be more consistent with it, how to just genuinely be more yourself. Up until like 2015, 16, I felt like I was like a shell of myself. And I let myself become that way because of society, because of mistakes, because of other people's judgment, because of other people's opinions. And none of that fucking matters. None of it matters. Your opinion of me watching this right now, it's not gonna change who I am. If I'm being mean, and I don't notice I'm being mean, and somebody tells me I'm being mean, you'll change me in that way because I'm gonna be more cognizant of it and self-aware. Because I'm very self-aware about everything I do. So if you notice something that I don't, it's a red flag for me, and I go back and listen and try to nitpick myself. Because I'm always just trying to be a better person, but I also don't give a fuck about your opinion of me. Just that way. If I'm not doing wrong, if I'm not doing you harm, and I'm just being you don't like me because I'm weird, you don't like me because I'm outspoken, you don't like me because I make you think too hard, I don't give a fuck. I really don't. It just is what it is. Like I hate to put it that way, but I'm a man. Like I know who I am in here, in my heart, and I'm never gonna let anybody ever change that. Anybody. My fucking closest people to me, my best friends, my fiance, I still, while I respect their opinions, it's not gonna change who I am as a human being, most likely. Again, unless I'm being a dick. Like there's definitely been times where, I've had conversations with Matt, one of my best friends, and he brings up something from the past of when we did music together, and I'm like, damn, dude, I was being a fucking dickhead back then. Like, I'm so sorry. And he's like, nah, that's cool, man. Like we were both young and ego driven and all this shit, but like those are the type of things, like I like to know, if I offend you, like I did my employee, I like to know those things, but sometimes people are offended by you just being you because they cannot be themselves. That's a fucking bar. That's a fucking bar. Wait, the fuck? Did that guy have a pigeon on his lap? No. He's got a bird in his lap, and it's like looks like a dove or something. Oh man, this is what I mean. ADDs. Um, but yeah, I can't let anybody change who I am. I just am who I am. Can I better myself always? Oh, of course. But I just can't fake the funk, guys. And that's the biggest thing that I've had any level of success with podcasting is not faking the funk. One of the things that used to truly bother me about my old podcast partner is that he had like a radio voice, like he would um literally be like, his whole voice was different from when he talked to me normally. It would be much more proper. And we're going to, hey guys, welcome to another episode of AA for Entrepreneurs. Like, it was just too much. It was fake. But it was so successful because um I don't know why. I don't really know why. I think it's because we put spotlights on dope entrepreneurs. And that's exactly why I would love to bring back AA for Entrepreneurs. So if you're watching and you want to be my co-host and you like to talk to entrepreneurs, hit me up. I would be so down to work with some new people. And yeah, I'm ready next week. I might have a guest. I might not. It's gonna be a little bit more structured than this. But I really just wanted to come on here and say thank you guys for 100 episodes of What Did Adam Say, 200 episodes of podcasting in the past 4 years, 5 years. And then, even some of the people that listen to my podcast now supported me when Hotbox Radio was a thing in 2013. So it's just crazy, guys. It's just crazy. And I can't wait to see where this goes. I can't wait to see. I look over and there's two neighbor boys, like an older brother and younger brother, and one of them is lifting up his shirt trying to distract his little brother from shooting the basketball. Oh man, squirrel. So yeah, that's all I really have for today. Podcasting, let's recap. In order to start your own podcast and to have a successful podcast, and I don't mean high numbers, I mean something that feels right to you, use Anchor. Start there. If you have recording equipment, use your recording equipment. Shit, if you have a laptop and you have headphones, like if you have a MacBook and you have Apple headphones, you can use those, dude. Like, don't make an excuse. You can record from anywhere, your phone, your laptop, whatever, and upload it to Anchor and it will distribute it to everywhere. The second part, be yourself. Do not fake the funk. People will be able to tell when you're faking the funk eventually. 3, don't let minor things deter you. You will fuck up. I'm 5 years consistently podcasting and I still fuck up, guys. Still fuck up. 4, having a great guest is kind of like a cheat code. If you have a great guest that you can have great conversation with, whether you agree or disagree with them respectfully, you can have an amazing, amazing show that people get the most value out of because there's two different opinions, there's two different lifestyles, there's two different lives. So it's really something that it can make a big difference. And 5, have fun. Have fun. That is the biggest thing I can say, honestly, is just have fun. If you're not having fun podcasting, you're not doing it right, guys. It really is something that should be enjoyable to you. If it's not, you should reflect as to why it is not enjoyable to you, because even on my off days, I still love this shit. I really do, guys. I love it. And I hope that at least my goal is every one episode, I just want to inspire one more person or inspire the same person, like over and over and over. I don't care. I don't care. I just love this. I love making a difference. I love making an impact, and I'm ready for what's next. So stay tuned. We're 100 episodes in. Wait for it to be 1,000. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good vibes to you, wherever you are in the world. Have a great fucking life.